What's going on, dudes? Welcome to Population Zero. In today's episode, we're gonna meet Frank, the shittiest pilot in the galaxy. So, ladies and gentlemen, smack your feet up, get comfy, and if you like this kind of content that I'm doing, leave a comment and let me know, and let's get into it. Meet Frank. Frank was never really quite the pilot. Actually, yeah, he was never really a pilot, which is probably why he ended up here in this shitty situation with no food, no love, no water, and a wrecked ship. Classic Frank. Anyways, Frank was determined that this should not be the death of him, so he went forth looking for an exit out of this shithole. Frank was not the sharpest knife in the kitchen drawer, so when he came across his first real enemy, the high-hanging branches, and saw that all it would take to get past this evilness was to just keep punching the branches with his bare man hands. Yeah, it's not for fun that people from his sauna club refers to him as Frank the Tank, because oh man, that man can throw a proper punch. Anywho, 20 minutes later, Frank miraculously figured out that to cut through the branches, you would need some kind of weapon, which he had in his backpack all along. Classic Frank. A funny two-dimensional box appeared in the top left corner, telling Frank to go to the water and pick up some plants. Because, you know, in order to survive on any random planet, you need to have green fingers. And if there's something Frank was good at, it was picking up flowers. Yeah, maybe you don't believe me, but Frank was a man that had it all. After picking up enough plants, Frank discovered that he could now research a new technology. I know, you think that Frank would go for some murderous taekwondo jiu-jitsu shit, right? But Frank has many layers. You could say that Frank is kind of like an onion. Anyways, Frank had always been a big fan of bear grills, so he knows what to choose in order to survive in the wild. The ability to have fresh water, to cook raw food, and of course a basic hammer in order to kick some alien ass. As Frank ventured into the unknown, he had his first encounter with an alien species, and he was now faced with a hard decision. Should he leave the creature alone and try to find another path? Or should he take the creature head on and smash its face? Yeah, I know, Frank is full of surprises. He killed the creature, looked a little bit like an overgrown cat, took its remains and ventured on. Frank was thinking about how he ended up here. He could not remember much of what actually happened. The only thing he knew for sure was that yesterday he was drinking beers and doing arm wrestling, and today he's picking up plants and shitting his pants. Life is funny like that. As Frank kept fighting for his poor life, he saw something that surprised him. Another pilot had crashed onto the same planet as Frank. Frank could not believe that there were others in the universe who could be as bad a pilot as himself. But maybe this was destiny. Maybe Frank could finally find his soulmate. From this second, Frank made it his mission to find this shitty pilot and to make him his friend. Frank was exhausted. His feet felt like walking on a good but old jelly and ham sandwich. But finally he could see light at the end of the tunnel. Frank was thrilled and filled with new energy. Now it was time to find the other shitty pilot, his soulmate. Frank spotted something near the tree. Could it be? Could it really be the other pilot? Frank followed the glimpse of the pilot down the mountain. But he was nowhere to be seen. The only thing human was the shadow of Frank himself. When Frank was about to give up, he spotted something running beneath him. It was the other pilot called Saladin. Oh man, was Frank happy to see him. Frank instantly tried to form a friendship by jumping up and down. As jumping up and down, you know, it's the official way of asking if people want to be friends. Saladin responded with a friendly jump, and then they were declared friends. They would do anything together. They would smash small cute creatures together. They would pick up branches together, or Saladin would. They would look down little holes together. But as you know, in all stories, everything good has to come to an end. Later that day, when Frank and Saladin camped at the bonfire, Saladin looked into the fire and said, "I will not survive this place, Frank, because I'm actually vegan." And that was it for Frank, even though Saladin was his friend and all, but he didn't want to hang around as salad eater. What would people not think? So Frank decided to venture on without Saladin. Of course, Frank could find other friends. Frank was pissed. Why had Saladin not told him earlier about his weird eating habits? It's not like Saladin had given him any clues at all. What a fucking douchebag. Frank went on to do things men do when trying to cope with feelings, like hitting stuff. Then a little bit more hitting and maybe just one more hit. Now Frank was finally settled with his feelings. He wanted to go back and apologize to Saladin. But when Frank finally had the courage to tell Saladin, "I'm sorry," the douchebag ran off. So Frank hunted him down. Nobody runs away from Frank like that, especially not salad eaters. Frank helped Saladin to kill the creature, and then stole the meat because, as you know, Saladin would not have needed that anyways. After Saladin and Frank split, Frank was suddenly attacked, and now he was all on his own. But luckily, Frank is quite smart. Frank felt the need to get on with his life. He had been too busy trying to prove his worth to Saladin that he had forgot about his real purpose, to find friends that were not salad eaters. So Frank ran along looking for new friends. As Frank thought that he would never be able to find another friend again, God showed mercy and a new potential friend appeared down the hill. Mr. Steel Eye 90. Oh man, what a manly name. Not like Saladin, that fucking faggot. Frank jumped to show Steel Eye 90 his request for friendship. Instead of jumping back at Frank, Steel Eye 90 chose to drop a gift for Frank. Oh, what a day to be alive, Frank thought to himself. When Frank picked up the gift, he realized there was just a sack of fucking stones. He had been fooled, I tell you. When Frank finally got rid of the stones, he ran after the traitor. Who does he think he is, just shitting on a potential friendship like that? So Frank ran by, stole his loot. Classic Frank. "Yeah, fuck you, Steel Eye," Frank yelled. And now they were even. Frank had been too focused on getting back at Steel Eye that he did not even see the big city in front of him. It was majestic, and Frank, with his cool looking hat, was sure that he would be the coolest boy in town. Before venturing into the city, Frank went up to get a good lookout. Frank looked at the horizon, spotting new potential friends everywhere, and thought to himself, "This planet is not so bad after all."